Mount Kenya, an aggressive backcloth to a formidable landscape, the rugged mixture of mountain, bush and forest that is East Africa. A contrast of ancient and modern, this is a land that the launderette hasn't reached. A land where the building problem can be solved in a variety of ways. A land where ancient customs and timeless skills are neighbors to the new. To 20th century cities of steel and concrete like Nairobi, a beautiful city just 62 years old. Its streets are a colorful mixture of brown, black, white and yellow, all waiting to see the start of the toughest rally in the world, the East African Safari. And 104 cars, piloted by some of the world's greatest rally stars, prepare to tackle 3,080 of the most vicious miles in motorsport. From this ramp, they head into 4 nights and 3 days of nightmare driving. Along the twisty roads that circle Mount Kenya, across the equator into Uganda, to wind round the dust-laden trails of Mount Elgon to Kampala. There to turn and rush through the night back to Nairobi. An afternoon's rest and they press southwards into Tanganyika, past the snow-capped heights of Kilimanjaro into the game country and the dreaded mud traps of Mbulu. Day breaks as the cars head towards Dodoma, Morogoro and on for a short rest at Dar es Salaam. North again, past the coconut palms that fringe the Indian Ocean, to Mombasa and the final dusty run into Nairobi. In all, more than 3,000 miles of road and track with almost indescribable surfaces to be accomplished at the incredible average speed of over 50 miles an hour. After just one night, a bitter joust through the Mbumuru section, a new hazard was reported. Car number 1 from France arrives at Suan Bridge Control with news that cars had been stoned by Africans who definitely didn't seem to approve of this safari. Theirs was one of the many that suffered shattered windscreens. Fortunately, none of the drivers was badly hurt. Tires had suffered from stones too, even in their rightful place on the ground. A complete change was needed after just one night. But this chap didn't need to bother. The drivers snatch for seconds in getting away from the controls. A lot of time has to be made up, and under indescribable conditions. In the hours of darkness, the dangers had been trebled, and they had taken their toll. Already some of the biggest names in motorsport were out of the safari. Ann Hall was out with the smashed radiator, and the biggest shock of all, Bill Fritchie, outright winner in 1959 and 1960, had crashed his Mercedes. The survivors among the smaller cars wound grimly on. A control comes as a welcome break, and one of last year's class-winning Sunbeam Rapier crew, Batch and co-driver Malik, are glad to stretch their legs. After all, humans have to refuel too. But the clock impatiently ticks on and allows no respite. With a flourish, the agile official sends them on their way. Uganda has to be traversed in record time. Well, nobody could say they hadn't been warned, though the word road proved to be a little optimistic. The Hillman presses on towards Kampala. Roads like this are an everyday obstacle in Africa. Small wonder that prospective buyers use the safari as a shopping guide. kicks up the dust, but no fuss. And there's certainly no time to stop for an interview, as the hopeful mic waver gets a dusty brush off. It's everywhere, red, sharp, choking dust. It stings the eyes and cakes the throat. It makes overtaking a spluttering, blinding, dangerous business. Hey, fellas, just come and look at this lot. The going is really getting steep now. Some take it forwards, some in reverse. Just how stupid can grown-ups be? Greenlee and Jennings and Parsons and Aird take things in their stride. But the going proves too tough for many of the cars. Climbing on the cruel roads out of the Rift Valley, their already weary drivers think that there are better ways to spend Easter, like just sitting and watching, for instance. Some who don't want to watch have to. This is the unhappy Manousis, outright winner in 1961, out of this battle already with a hole in the sump of his Volkswagen. I wonder if that car needs some water. The Australians are learning that the African bush can be pretty rugged too, as the colourful falcons pound through country where the water rate is about 4 miles an hour. Parsons and Aird press on in fine style. It looks tough from the outside, and there's a long way to fall if you run out of road. Lee Talbot, an American whom the Kenyans have come to regard as a permanent safari fixture, shows a Falcon and a Fiat the way round the mountain. Whoops, it may be funny for some, but at least these boys know where they are. Now in the sweltering heat of Mount Elgin, the route is in its most hazardous and treacherous mood. Even the mountain bus runs out of steam and lets its passengers barter for bananas. The drivers haven't time to stop, not on this occasion, though bananas have more important uses than merely food value. Two of the wiliest crewmen in the game drove for hundreds of miles with their sump plugged with bananas and shaving soap. Wind to the summit at last, the intrepid Bush and Alexander leaving a dust trail for the husband and wife team, the Temple Borums, to follow. They roar under Mount Elgin's famous landmark, the Old Man of the Mountain without a glance. Heading down the hill at last to spend Good Friday on the level. The valley brings good roads, and there would be a chance to make up some time if it wasn't for the rigidly imposed speed limit of Uganda. That boot lock is not an optional extra for African roads. It belongs to one of the most colourful pairs on the safari, Eric Jackson and Gregor Grant. At Kampala, the cars turn to head through the night towards Nairobi. Dawn, always a spectacle in Africa, seemed doubly welcome to the tired eyes of the weary crews. The weather had held, and the big cars had more than held their own. But still, there are 16 casualties, and only 85 crews leave Nairobi for the second and southern leg of the marathon tussle. But now luck is running out for the big boys. The dust clouds change to storm clouds, and Tanganyika welcomes the cars into a sea of mud. Water, water everywhere, wreaking havoc through the night on the treacherous mud-coated Bulu Mountains. The rainbow comes too late. The big cars have already slithered helplessly, wallowing like hippos in clinging mud. Like this police lorry, an extra infuriating hazard to mud-bedeviled drivers. Once again, they have to get out and push. And remember, this is Easter, south of the equator. The roads continue to provide their own obstacles. Caution is the keynote for water splashes, but in the night they couldn't be seen. And mud, potholes and car-breaking ruts have robbed the safari of stars like Aaltonen of Finland, Lee Talbot of America, Ellis and McPherson of Australia, and Jackson and Grant of Yorkshire and Scotland. The little cars press on hopefully. The challenge of the Mercedes, the Falcons and the Zodiacs has ended in the sea of mud. As in any rally, anywhere in the world, some take the wrong turning, and no one offers to tell them. Some, of course, run out of road altogether, and some can't even find the road at all. You need a good vantage point, like that fellow has. Joy and MacDonald and their Hillman were managing very nicely. The car was taking all the punishment that the roads hand out, and the drivers weren't looking too distressed either. Tarmac comes as a welcome relief, and to make sure no one misses it, there is the arm of the law. Correction, 2 arms of the law. Now the drivers are really pressing on. The little cars have a real chance now. Scurrying and slithering over the mud that sucks down the big fellows, the small cars swarm into Dar es Salaam and leave by the same route. But nobody has time to buy any oil from this chap. 3 little cars led the way into Dar es Salaam, and only 65 of the 104 starters leave the steamy port to turn inland and crisscross their way through narrow trails to Mombasa. As they reapproach the Indian Ocean, Africa turns on its super spectacle. Sunset and dusk in a glow of colors. The drivers rush on regardless. Dawn finds them at Mombasa, Easter Monday, but 40 cars don't get their Easter cheers from the crowd. Mombasa is much like any other rally control anywhere, but harder to reach. There's still a traffic jam despite the missing cars. And of course there are excited crowds, and the law, like law everywhere. And in every crowd, there's always a troublemaker. Hillman Minx number 47 leaves looking fit and well, followed by the Minx team leaders, Greenley and Jennings. Now they were motoring in real earnest, a class victory in reach. It had to be grasped and decisively. The Indian Ocean is left behind, and the wave of mudded and dusty survivors roll on towards Nairobi. Some take a quick mechanical breather, strictly unofficial, before reaching the Kibwezi control. Many willing hands do all they can to soothe the wear and tear of 2,800 miles of cruel motoring, and they know who to send the bill to. Some repairs would take a lot more time, a lot later. Now the last dash is on, past a fleeting flower show of convolvulus creeper. Homeward bound to reach the Kibwezi control and the cameras. Hold everything, there's something wrong here. Ah, that's better. This Hillman Minx is very nearly home. There was even time to get the windscreen really clean for once. Not that Africa is going to ease up on the men who are trespassing on its peaceful trails, which do their worst until the very end. The remaining big cars start to arrive thanks to some magnificent driving by their crews, and the waitresses' costumes are as stimulating as the tea. Jennings and Greenley press on. Nothing is going to stop them now, not even the diversion of Kew Gardens. Their Peugeot 403 rivals in the class are falling behind, but the Hillman has mastered the bush, taking all the battering it can hand out. And now the wrist-wrenching ordeal is nearly over. Crowds are waiting in Nairobi to welcome the 46 survivors. Some are too eager and face the wrath of a policeman who seems to be bent on a career as a branch manager. Others see the finish through viewfinders as the weary crews come rolling home. Greenley and Jennings arrive stiff but smiling, and well they may. Their magnificent drive in the sturdy Hillman Minx gives them an outstanding class win. No prizes for guessing who this car belongs to. Pat Moss and Anne Riley are popular winners in their class. Parsons and Aird motor in unscathed to give Hillman the second class prize too. A terrific triumph for the sturdy British cars. These are the prizes for the drivers, but the really big prizes are unseen. They go to the manufacturers, for the car that passes its safari test is a car indeed.